Hey y'all, I think we're live on the internet right now. I'm gonna take a few minutes out to get some stuff together. Obviously, people don't know I'm gonna be on the internet because I haven't given them fair warning. All right, we're gonna see if we can't get a couple stragglers up in the building. Last time we had about 8, which is definitely a record. We set a record last time. I don't. I don't mean to predict that we're gonna get anywhere close to that tonight. All right, but I'm gonna put up a little thing, let people know I'm trying to go on. I'm fixing to go on 8:45. All right, which is about, I don't know. It's actually about 6 minutes from now. We got a person in the building right now. I don't know who it is. I don't know how they got word so fast. I don't know if they were sitting by their computer, maybe they were doing some research, something like that. But we're fixing to go ahead and go into the broadcast. It is Maitre Mark. How in the world? I mean, Maitre Mark is a legend. I don't know what time it is over there in Tasmania, and I would like to know. But hold on. Well, you're seeing right here is a message. I plan to start at 8:45 Central Standard Time. Right now, it is 8:39 Central Standard Time. And unfortunately, we got 2 people up in the building. Actually, that's very fortunate. And I feel very blessed that we have 2 people. I can't imagine how they got word so fast. In the meantime, I do want to know what the heck time it is up in Tasmania. And how in the world Maitre Mark got word so fast that the broadcast is going on right now. Because I did not give people fair warning. I want you to know that y'all will get some fair warning from here on out. There's things that I got to work out. I'm dropping in and out. Hey, here's what I got to tell you. If you can hear my words right now, I've noticed on the past couple of broadcasts that I drop in and out for the first few minutes for whatever reason, like it's buffering or something like that. For the first few minutes, and then after that, it seems to be all right. It seems to work out for some reason. I got 3 people up in the building. Um, like I said, I was fixing to start the broadcast. I wanted to give people fair warning, all right, to let people roll in. I'm not prepared by any means right now. Um, Actually, all I had to do, really, honestly, is probably open up the back door. Hopefully, I don't disturb my neighbors. But maybe perhaps that will create for a better signal. I have no idea how technology works, y'all, for the most part. I'm trying to figure it out. There's definitely methods and techniques that we should get together and gather. Um, in our YouTube wisdom in order to make sure that everybody can get on board and that nobody misses out. I'm actually going to discuss these methods and techniques with y'all. Maybe perhaps y'all could share with me some that y'all learn in I don't know, a couple minutes. I'm going to go and grab some coffee. I got it a brewing over there. Grab some coffee. That's what I'm going to need. All right. 5 Central Standard Time, y'all. So give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna be right back, and go ahead and have a conversation between yourselves. I don't know how in the world I got 4 people up in the building. Unwrapped by Brenda's up in this mug. Hi, and she's saying hi to everybody. Like I say, just say hi to people up in the building, and let yourself be known in the comments section. And as always, safety first. If you're driving in a car, if you're holding 4 babies right now in your arms, do not comment. But otherwise, I expect to see you commenting all up in the comments section so that I know that you're alive and I know that you're ready to be a contributor to this live stream. And also, I want to know what time it is up in Tasmania. I'm going to be right back. All right, y'all. I'm back. We got 4 people up in the building. I don't know what y'all been discussing. Let's see. We got different comments. It's 1:38 p.m. here in Tasmania. It's 1:38 p.m. I mean, I'm just curious because I know Maitre Mark gets up in the building and stuff like quick, fast, in a hurry on these broadcasts, and I can't tell you how blessed I feel because of that. I mean, a straight up and down legend. I would assume that everybody in the comment section knows about Maitre Mark's channel, fully aware of it, and are subscribed to it. This is what I would assume. And right now, just to let you know, while I'm popping pills, I want to let y'all know this from Infowars.com. It's Ultimate Fish Oil. I know that makes people mad, but fish oil, it has a lot of different benefits probably, and one being included to expand our minds, to get our minds all fluid, not gender fluid, but a certain other type of fluid in which our brains, it'll get our brain liquids all a flowing. All right, and you can get fish oil anywhere. I happen to get mine from the InfoWarsStore.com, right, where I get a good price. They don't even pay me to say that. Also, by the way, Turbo Forest. There's all sort of things. I'm not gonna roll them all out and stuff. I know people are gonna hate on it, but Turbo Forest is amazing. I like to add it to my water on the daily. All right, gives me that extra added oomph. All right, we're about to hop up in the news, but before we do, I want to give out an invitation like I do every time. I want people to know, hey, I want to know what it is you're thinking about. I want to know what it is that you've seen in the news, and perhaps we can Google it and then we could talk about it. Stuff like that. I mean, y'all are as much part of this program as I am. All right. I would like to give y'all the reins and just have y'all run the program and I'll sit back and relax. To be honest with you, I know that's not really very practical, but I mean, that would be awesome for me. Because y'all are very good contributors. All right. So, also, before we hop into some news items, I got some screenshots. I certainly don't got enough, but I didn't have. Um, there's never enough time to get all the amazing and totally outrageous news items that I want to on deck. We're struggling to keep up with all the fantastic and all the completely disturbing abominations happening across the world and across the country, and especially even here in San Antonio. We like to get at those. But before we get into the news, I wanted to let y'all know there's a few developments. Number one, I wanna hear from somebody out there whether or not we're still buffering, if we're coming in and out. I opened the back door. Hopefully, I'm not disturbing my neighbors. All right, and I have no idea if opening the back door even helps the signal at all. I don't know how this voodoo stuff works. Ah, but some developments. I want to let y'all know that I plan to give people fair warning, maybe 15, 20 minutes or so to get together, to put some stuff away, and things of that nature. Some fair warning before I start the broadcast from here on out. I didn't do that today because I ran out of time and I hadn't had that situated. All right, I plan to get that together next time. Also, I wanted to announce that the broadcast is looking like for the near future. What I plan to do, what I want to shoot for, is to have it around this time, maybe 8:30 or so, 8:30, depending on when I can get it in. To just as long as we can, 9:30 to 10, perhaps sometimes. All right. This is during the weekdays of Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. That's how I want to do it, y'all. I thought about this a lot. The thing is, I think that that's going to do just fine because I want to stay very regular. All right. I want us to stay on top of things. I want us to be on top of the ball here. But at the same time, we can't do it daily because it would just be too hectic to do it daily. I wouldn't be able to gather material as good as I can. And there's also other things that I do as far as the internet. Obviously, come to my channel. So what I want to shoot for is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and this will allow for weekends to take a break. I want to take a break on weekends because I noticed that that's hard for me to get on during the weekend. Me personally, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are what we're gonna be shooting for, y'all. All right, so that you know when our installments are coming in. Hopefully, we can stay very regular. That way, when I've been banned. All right, you'll know because you'll be like, oh, he didn't come on Monday. He must be banned. All right, and then you'll figure it out and stuff like that. All right, I just wanted to get that out of the way. And now we're gonna jump into the news, all right? Because we don't have all night. Oh yeah, speaking of that, I did want to mention that the broadcast is gonna be from like 8:30 to 9:30 to 10ish or whatever. We're gonna try and get it in that amount of time because, as a lot of y'all know, I work overnight, and that's why we can't go off into the wee hours of the night. You know what I'm saying? Like, we probably could talk all night, but somehow I gotta make that money. All right. So let's see if we can't work technology. By the way, I'm gonna keep an eye on the comments. It's Unwrapped by Brenda said it's coming in clear now. I appreciate it. And when it stops coming in clear, I want you to give me a shout out in the comments. Say, look, this is coming in all ridiculous and it's not working out. That way I know if I'm wasting my time. All right, so we're gonna run through some screenshots. You already saw the first one. Um, Now you're seeing a myriad of the ones that we're gonna run through. They're not the biggest news items of all time. All right, but I had a limited time this particular broadcast to get them together. All right, and so we're gonna try and remember off the top of our heads what the heck's going on in the news, what we don't have on display right now. I just want to jump in on this one. Another former Bexar County deputy arrested. I saw this in the headlines. Trust me, things get wild up in San Antonio, and I'm not sure why he was arrested. I don't know if he was guilty. I can assume that he probably was. If you're a deputy for Bexar County, if you're a deputy and you're getting arrested, probably you're guilty. But that's not to say it's a definite. I actually didn't read too far into this particular item, all right? But just for those who are curious what's going on locally here in San Antonio, there's plenty of stuff going on locally, all right? I didn't get a screenshot of it, but I got a screenshot of this where Taryn Armitage done got arrested. It's probably very scandalous. But there was another item that I noticed. All right, I'm just gonna have to take my word for it. In which there was a prisoner up in the Bexar County Jail, and he got accidentally released, and they caught him again and stuff. And I was reading an article about it, and apparently that was the 16th prisoner this year to be accidentally released from the Bexar County jail. All right. How are so many people getting accidentally released from the Bexar County? Who's running this mug? All right. Are we going to have to bust some heads? I know Greg Brockhouse was talking about it earlier. And that in and of itself is real scandalous. I mean, what's the point of having a jail if we're accidentally letting prisoners go willy-nilly? And trust me, it's not just happening in San Antonio. All right, it's happening in probably in every major city all around, and you got to ask yourself why that is. All right, it's kind of ridiculous. I wanted to point this out, and I've seen this before. This is a man, Louis C.K. I'm not gonna tell you to like his style, all right? If you have heard of him and stuff, I know people have their own styles. I know Louis C.K. can be pretty brash and stuff. To be honest, I don't always have time to check out his stuff, but I am kind of a fan. All right, Maitre Mark, real quick, he says, oh man, sometimes it pops up and then it disappears. Maitre Mark says, here in Tasmania, there's a spat of people being released from jail early. Happened to a friend of mine. You know, I mean, sometimes people get released from jail. Like there was that whole prison reform done by Donald Trump by way of Kanye West and stuff like that, in which a lot of nonviolent offenders were released from prison, and a lot of people wanted to see that. I, I thought it was pretty inspired of an idea to see if we can't release some of these nonviolent offenders from jail and see if we can't get them a better start. That is what happened here in America. Now, there's going to be exceptions. For example, I saw an article the other day about how one of these people who's been released off that prison reform deal actually went ahead and like murdered somebody or assaulted somebody real bad, and that's bad. All right, they weren't talking about it that much in the news, but it's like, dude, yeah, sometimes you're gonna release prisoners off prison reform, and then they're gonna come out and hurt some people, but it's probably gonna be a pretty rare instance. All right, hopefully it would be. That's what I would imagine. Maitre Mark says when the media found out about Maitre's friend being released from prison, that they went ahead and put him back in. I don't know how that works. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's just ubiquitous all over the world. If people are doing this whole prison reform all willy nilly, couldn't tell you. All right, it's kind of freaking me out. But just to stay on topic, what we're looking at right now is we got Louis C.K. He should apologize for touring. Wait, hold on. He should apologize before touring, says Parkland Survivor. A Parkland Survivor says it. Now, I didn't read too far into this article. I can't even tell you who said that he should. Excuse me. Who said that he should apologize? More than likely, they were not a survivor of Parkland. That is, if you were to believe stuff happened at Parkland, which still to this day, I tend to believe people really did get hurt at Parkland. I know it's very controversial, but I still tend to believe it. However, the person who's mentioned in this article, more than likely by TMZ.com, very illegitimate. That person probably wasn't even in the building, more than likely. Could have been David Hogg or Emma Gonzalez or whoever cares. Very much, Maitre Mark's talking about there's an incompetence there. There's a heavy incompetence. Real briefly, just to touch upon it one more time. People talk about prison reform or justice reform or this and that, law enforcement reform. And I think a lot of times it's not white supremacy or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not people out to like hurt minorities as much as it is incompetence lots of the times, as a rule of thumb, or people, it's a very touchy situation. I gotta say about police officers in general is that lots of times they're between a rock and a hard place. All right, if you were to be realistic, lots of times they make panic decisions because they're in pretty serious situations, unfortunately. All right, but I want to stay on topic. All right, I don't want to get too off in the weeds with that. With that particular thing, we might talk about that a little bit more later, as far as these prisons going all willy nilly and not being ran. It's like incompetence lots of the times. All right, we're probably going to get into that. But just to get this out of the way, Louis C.K., you should apologize before touring, says Parkland Survivor. Like I said, probably it's not a survivor at all. All right. But here's the thing. If a comedian has to apologize to everybody and their mom before they go touring and stuff like that, can you imagine that we probably wouldn't see comedians, all right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they had to apologize to literally everybody, then there would be no comedians touring the country, all right? That's the thing about it. And furthermore, for people, Parkland survivors, and I bet you that person wasn't in the building, whoever it was, for them to consider themselves as some sort of special interest or whatever, to think that they're anything better than anybody else who might have had family members who have actually been killed by guns. Trust me, people have been killed by guns around here. All right. For them to think that they're more special and that they deserve special apologies is completely outrageous and amazing. I know Louis C.K. made jokes about Parkland. I remember when it was a big controversy and when he was talking about it, he specifically made jokes about those who were not in the building, who were not survivors of anything, anyways. All right. The thing is, to be a little bit more detailed, he was making jokes about the fact is that it doesn't make you special, nor does it make you an expert at anything simply because you are around gunfire. All right. And the fact is that most teenagers don't have a lick of a clue what the heck they're talking about, unfortunately. Here's what I wanted to point out was most significant about this article, and I've seen this same exact article written before. All right, they write the same article like weeks and weeks later talking about Louis C.K. and you'll see it right here. Louis C.K. Right here up under the headline, it says this: should start his 14 city international tour by doing one thing right off the bat, and it's apologize to these people. Oh, actually, you know what? This isn't the screenshot that I remember seeing. Real briefly, I wanted to bring it up because, let's see. Dang it, I totally embarrassed myself. But there's articles going around about Louis C.K., and what you'll note is that they described him as a disgraced comedian, Louis C.K. All right, and you'll notice that where for every person that is unliked by the left-leaning media, they'll describe him as disgrace. Like they'll describe Louis C.K. as disgraced. They'll describe Donald Trump as disgraced. It's like, look, if you're the president of the United States, chances are you're not disgraced. If you're selling out shows as a comedian everywhere you go, like Louis C.K., all right, promise you, every single one of his shows are sold out. Guess what? You're not disgraced. That doesn't even make sense. And I wanted to bring that up. I thought I had a screenshot of something that said that specifically, but I don't. All right, I totally failed. Speaking of disgrace, speaking of disgraced, look, y'all, I don't follow sports like most of y'all probably don't. But you got this guy Sean Doolittle. And I saw this the other day on the WAPO, on that Washington Compost. Sean Doolittle on declining White House invite said, "I don't want to hang out with somebody who talks like that." I don't know who he's talking about. I think he was referring to Donald Trump. And this struck me as completely amazing. All right, because it's funny. It's like, okay, it should be an honor to go to the White House, and certainly I saw a video earlier of your teammates all up at the White House having the time of their lives. All right, certainly I saw that, and they loved the nation. It didn't matter what skin color they were. They were out representing. They were popping bottles and just having all sort of fun over at the White House. So don't you look like a fool, all right, Sean Doolittle, who I've never heard of before. Aren't you trying to get attention for some reason? He says, I don't want to hang out with somebody who talks like that. All right, here's the thing about baseball. I can guarantee you in sports in general, all right, y'all have talked all sort of ways behind the scenes. Y'all say all sort of language that is not appropriate for television or anything else. All right, that's an understanding that to assume that you're a baseball player in the Major League Baseball and you've never heard any sort of harsh language. All right, and mind you, Donald Trump is not even close to said the type of language that is said every single day, I'm sure, in Major League Baseball. Uh, I mean, you're being damn ridiculous, all right? You're acting like a little girl, and I'm sorry if that's politically incorrect, Sean Doolittle, but just wanted to call you out because I never heard of your name before, all right? Until you started talking about Donald Trump, and maybe that's why you did start talking bad about Donald Trump, because I ain't never heard your name before. Maybe that's why you did it. I just wanted to go on to the next screenshot. We got Greta Thunberg, who's finally leaving America, and it couldn't be a second too soon, to be honest with you. Mind you, I love Greta Thunberg, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. Love her. I would love her to leave actually the country and never come back. If honestly, like, unless she can like show a little respect or something like that, which I can't imagine that she plans to in the near future. I would love for her to never come back and get out and just never come back. Greta Thunberg, she's meeting with Ellen the other day, and I saw a little clip of it just to kind of make sure the headline was somewhat accurate. Greta Thunberg, much like a David Hogg, she said that meeting with Trump to help Trump understand climate change would be a waste of her time. So, okay, you being a foreign person coming to our country and hypothetically being invited by Donald Trump, I don't know that you were. You probably weren't. It was a hypothetical, probably. Greta Thunberg said that meeting with our duly elected president, would be a waste of her time. Meanwhile, she finds all sort of benefits in talking bad about America, specifically about all our pollution, our climate change, stuff like that. All right. She said it would be a waste of time. And I actually saw a clip from that dang show in which she was like, "Oh yeah, I learned about climate change when I was in elementary school and stuff like that. And that's when I started my journey of unleashing my wisdom upon the world and stuff like that." In elementary school. So you're here to tell me that you learned about a topic in elementary school. That's when you became an expert in elementary school or grade school, whatever y'all call it in Sweden. And you became such an expert, and you know that Donald Trump's brain can't even wrap around the unbelievable wisdom that's bursting out of your brains when it comes to climate change. All right, when it comes to the idea of carbon dioxide totally making the world explode, that would be a waste of your time. All right, that was complete utter disrespect that you showed to my country, Greta Thunberg. I still love you, but don't ever come back. That's all I know. And speaking of that, man, I don't know if we have a screenshot. Maybe we do. I forget all what I screenshotted earlier, but I saw Greta Thunberg hanging out with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I don't know. I don't know what they did when they were hanging out. I don't know what they were discussing, which type of jet planes they were going to hop on, how they were going to single handedly get together with the Pope and figure out how to save the earth against our wishes here in the United States, and to make sure they can completely cripple the United States economically speaking, and perhaps that will save the earth once we start dying of starvation because we can't get no jobs or money. We can't maintain infrastructure in America due to like some sort of new Green Deal and stuff that y'all want to pass through. Perhaps when we're all dead in the ditch, we won't be able to hurt the earth anymore, like y'all are talking about. I wanted to bring up this, and this is going to be a little known thing because, me, myself, and also Joe Green, we're not exactly famous and stuff, but I wanted to bring it up. I took a screenshot of it earlier. All right. Joe Green had a video called Wolfgang Halbig Shill Talk, in which Wolfgang Halbig, which is a person you might not know, he was a school safety expert of sorts that say, Parkland doesn't even close to make sense. And for a long time, he was talking about Sandy Hook, and I'm sure he's still talking about Sandy Hook, saying, it's outrageous that people won't answer the simplest of questions when it comes to all sort of children being murdered. Let's assume every last one of these children were murdered, and that was completely accurate. Well, you know what? It's outrageous that people and officials will not answer simple questions over it. So Joe Green made a video in which he was calling out people for shilling and stuff like that. That should be his First Amendment right, but guess what? On YouTube, it's not. They went ahead and deleted it, as you can see. That might be familiar, that gray box in which YouTube announced that was hate speech and stuff like that. Hating on Joe Green, and perhaps they even banned him for a couple of weeks. I'm not real sure. I had to get back to him on that. And speaking of that, I want to take a little bit of time out to stress that, YouTube is not the a make or break situation for myself. Obviously, I'm not making no money, and nor am I trying to make money off of YouTube. But the problem, the reason why I haven't switched over to any other platform yet, and I'll do it at the drop of a hat, and I won't care at all. But I'll let y'all know where I go when I do go. Is we what we need is a platform, and I know that certain other platforms are working on it. What we need is a platform that's very easy to leave comments on. That way, we can build a community. BitChute, you can leave comments and stuff, but you have to go through a third party. I believe it's Discord. I can't really remember. So that confuses some people. And what that leads to is not a lot of contribution on BitChute in general. There's not a lot of people leaving comments as it is on YouTube because it's very easy to leave comments on YouTube. All right, all you have to do is have an account on YouTube, and you're free to leave comments and stuff like that. It's real easy. And then not only that, but what I'm looking for is a platform, and I believe that BitChute is working on it, and I gotta imagine other platforms are working on it. Is where I can upload and post recorded videos that I work on, like in my downtime, and post those as well as do live streams. All right, because that's really what I want to dive into. We need that. We need that trifecta. We need easily left comments, and I'm sure that these tech platforms, they know exactly what I'm talking about. It takes money. It definitely takes infrastructure, and it takes all this planning to be able to figure that out. How to get to where the comments, because I know people leave all sort of disgusting comments and stuff like that. You gotta kind of like, you do have to work with that. You don't want to leave. You don't want to. You do want to work with free speech, but you don't want people leaving all sort of death threats and comments and stuff like that. It does take infrastructure to be able to regulate that. You got that, and then you want live streaming and recorded videos all on the same platform. People are struggling to get that together, and I know it's going to take time. Like I said, I know it takes probably hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to pull that off. But that's what I'm waiting for. I'm itching and scratching to get off of YouTube because it's a terrible place and it's ran by Nazis. All right, I want to go back into some more local San Antonio news, and y'all feel free to jump in. I've been trying to keep my eye out for comments and stuff like that. I realize some people get carried away with what it is I'm talking about and the sound of my soothing voice. All right, maybe they get mesmerized by my face, and I can't blame y'all. I or else I don't want to blame y'all, right? But if y'all have anything that y'all would want me to discuss before we get out of here, we got some time, y'all. We're gonna be on here for a little while, all right? So it gives y'all some time to think about what it is that is on the forefront, what's very pressing. We're gonna tackle it about as hard as we can before we get out of here. But right now, we're back to local news. The other day, I was telling some friends of mine, we were just riding in the car and stuff. We were going places. And I was telling them, from what I've seen, San Antonio's in for a world of hurt, to be honest with you. And I've been mentioning it here on my YouTube channel for a little while. I gotta stress that fact, all right? Just to be real brief about it, the previous mayoral election was stolen, all right? I know a lot of people aren't saying that. It's not widely known, but trust me, it was stolen. All right, for sure. So you're gonna have to take my word for it, but it was stolen. All right. And so our mayor Ron Nirenberg, he kind of aligns perfectly with the rest of our city council, which honestly is a little bit scandalous, right? I can't call people out specifically, but the overall vibes of our city council and its lack of transparency is quite scandalous, all right? And it's been that way for as long as I can remember, all right? In this previous election, in which the loser of the election, Greg Brockhouse, uh, I remember specifically him calling for more transparency, for a more hands-on, interactive uh, kind of forums for citizens of San Antonio to be able to participate in what happens in politics. I know a lot of people get very discouraged all around the world from politics, all right, because they feel like everybody's lying, everybody's cheating, they do things behind the scenes, and it doesn't even matter what we say, all right. That might be the case. It might have been the case for as long as we can remember. But however, we need to change that. All right. And there's many ways of going about that. But for number one, it's very important. It's transparency. We have all sort of technology. All right, we can live stream all the different, like for example, city council meetings and stuff like that, so that everybody knows what in the world's going on, what kind of decisions are being made. But if that were the case, people would have to get more hands on, and it would be upon them to do it, to become more involved in their local politics. All right, I gotta stress that seems to be key, and I'm not exactly um, all up in that world yet, but I want to get up in that world of local politics, especially in my district. I'm new to this particular district of San Antonio, with this particular area. I want to get into. I want to, not that I want to be a politician, but I want to be involved in local politics because, you know, it's it's really it's really tough to make a difference on a national scale as far as politics. There's so many parties involved, stuff like that. You would imagine it'd be a lot easier to get yourself involved in local politics, all right, to kind of get your foot in the door and work your way up. All right. A lot of people, like I said, they kind of, what they do is they forfeit any sort of power that they might have had by saying, hey, all politicians are scandalous. They're all trying to steal from us. They're all here to lie to us. That's actually not the case. And before I go any further, I want to say this, and I've only just barely learned this, all right? I'm a little spring chicken, and I don't know anything about anything, but here, I'm here to tell you, all right, as far as that goes, here's the thing. The most corrupt of politicians, here's what I can promise you. The most corrupt of politicians, Hillary Clinton comes to mind, all right? Bernie Sanders comes to mind. They jump for joy. They love to hear here's what they love to hear the most. All right, this is their favorite line from any citizen that they want to scam out of money and tax into oblivion. What they love to hear the most out of anything, all right, is that all politicians are corrupt and they're all out to lie to us and scheme on us. That's what they love to hear. Your most unfavorite politician out there, no matter where you're at. That's what they love to hear. That particular line, all politicians are here to cheat us, and therefore I don't like to pay attention to politics. That corrupt politician that you're talking about, who's taking money out your back pocket every single day, they love to hear that because they know that when you forfeit your time and effort and you start to pay attention to other things, they know that they can take anything they want from you. And they know that they're not going to be opposed by anybody. They're going to run roughshod all over you. That's the thing about it. People get very discouraged and they say to themselves, "Oh, I don't even want to have nothing to do with that." Trust me, if you're an adult, you should probably think about how something to do with that. Like I said, I'm only wrapping my head around this. I'm in my early 30s and stuff like that. I was a person just only a few years ago that would tell you, "Oh man, I'm tired of hearing about all these politicians, dude. I don't even want to hear nothing about what they had to promise me and stuff like that." But that's exactly what they love to hear. They know you're going to turn a blind eye and they're going to steal everything they can from you. And what I got to say is that there's a lot of politicians out there who do mean you well, right? And so when you consider all the politicians to be majorly corrupt and then you just stop paying attention, those politicians, a Louis Gohmert comes to mind, a Rand Paul comes to mind, a Greg Abbott, who's the governor of Texas, comes to mind. All those politicians who would who would seek to benefit you, the regular citizen, who would seek to put money back into your pocket. They're the power for them to benefit you is actually taken away. Putting a noose around both y'all's necks. All right. So to get that out of the way, I wanted to draw attention to this. Homeless New Yorkers are being sent to San Antonio. That's the headline you're looking at right now. Now, only a few days ago, I was talking to some friends, and I say, I think we're gonna see an uptick in homelessness, all right, here in San Antonio. All right, and they had their personal opinions. So I'm not gonna get into it right now, but I was just letting them. I was warning them right now. I was like, from what I've been seeing, there's plenty of reasons to think that homelessness is going to run rampant in San Antonio. All right. For number one, just to be real brief about it, you got the city council, to include Ron Nirenberg, the mayor of San Antonio, talking about, oh, yeah, we want to hire a company from San Francisco, California. All right. One of the world's leaders in homeless people pooping on the streets. And obviously, I'm not making that up. Pooping on the streets, all sort of needles everywhere, drug use and stuff just gone rampant. We want to hire a company specifically from that city to help us with our homeless. All right, what kind of help can we get from people who pretty much specialize in having needles all over the dang streets and human feces all on the sidewalk? All right, what kind of help we're gonna? And as soon as people heard about that, we were like, we can't even believe this. It's outrageous. And then I saw the mayor come up on the news, and he was like, I know it sounds counterintuitive and everything, but we're gonna do it anyways. So don't you even worry about it. We're gonna work with San Francisco to make San Antonio better again and stuff like that. All right, so that was number one, what I wanted to bring up. But secondly, for those who don't know, geographically speaking, San Antonio is actually pretty close to Austin. All right, not very far away. I mean, you drive for an hour, you're going to be in Austin. All right, it's not very far away. And what I got to point out is Austin is actually having an explosion, and they have been for the past 2, 3 years of homelessness. And what's interesting to note is that all the homeless people in Austin, not all of them are from Austin. It's not as though the city itself, its infrastructure is all crumbling and stuff like that, and all of these people are losing their homes in Austin and they're becoming homeless in Austin. I'm sure that happens. I'm sure that's the majority of homeless people are from Austin, but the thing is, there's a great big minority of people who are homeless in Austin who are not even from Austin. All right. So if you think about that for a little while, you gotta ask yourself, where are these homeless people coming from? Why are they seeking to, for whatever reason? You could be homeless in whatever city you want to be, where you're from. Instead, you choose to pick up and come to Austin to be homeless. What's the point of that? Besides, the weather might be a little bit better. You might not freeze to death during the winter. I would imagine that would be like, and still, it does get cold from time to time. It's not exactly like you can just hang out all year round, every single day outside, outdoors. It's not going to work out. You still have to find shelter from time to time. All right. So it makes you wonder where all these people coming from. Why are all these people coming from around the nation to Austin in order to be homeless in Austin? Right? What about being homeless in Austin is so much better than anywhere else? All right. I really couldn't tell you all the specifics, but you're seeing the headline right here. Homeless New Yorkers are being sent to San Antonio. See, New York in and of itself, the city of New York is bursting at the seams with homeless people. Why? Because their infrastructure is total dog crap, all right? And the thing is, it's kind of been that way. Like, San Antonio has been, in particular, been growing and growing since before I can remember, since I was a little bitty baby. Our infrastructure and our economy in particular has just been growing. All right, for better for worse, we just have a better tax situation. We don't exactly tax people into oblivion here like they might do into New York. All right, so suffice it to say, in a very simple way, New York is a very expensive place to live. It's extremely expensive for all the people who love New York and stuff. And I've been there one time in New York, New York. And it's a lovely place. It's way too crowded for me, to be honest. It's like I get claustrophobic. All sort of people in New York is very lively atmosphere. And I'll go into it a little bit later, maybe on some other broadcast. My visit to New York, which was years ago. All right. The problem is it's too expensive to live there, and nobody's trying to make it any better for the citizens of New York. All right. In fact, they're doing everything that they can in order to make New York almost unlivable. All right. And so they've been exploding at the seams with homeless people for a while now. All right. To the point is that they got a major surplus of homeless people. San Antonio, we've always had homeless people, but in comparison, it's nowhere close to New York. The per capita and everything else is not even close. All right, so it's getting to the point where now they're exporting. New York. New York's biggest export that they can speak of is homeless people. That's very unfortunate. And now they're delivering their homeless people to us. Like, that's some sort of good idea. I have nothing against homeless people or anybody in the world. I hate nobody. I love everybody. But speaking about a city in general, the last thing you would want is to exponentially increase the amount of homeless people that you have. That's the last thing that you would want. And meanwhile, our mayor is basically encouraging it. Our city council, they love it. They couldn't even think about nothing that they love more. It's amazing. I knew I made a screenshot of it. Leonardo DiCaprio has praised us for Greta Thunberg as a leader of our time. I couldn't be more disgusted with both these people. Meanwhile, I just gotta let you know, and I bet you a lot of people are on the same wavelength as me, in that I couldn't imagine, um, and I know there's going to be exceptions to the rule, and I'll bring up one exception in a second, but I couldn't imagine paying money to see a movie ever again. Never. All right. I couldn't tell you when's the last time I went to a movie theater. Right? Because I'm so disgusted with everybody from out of Hollywood and that whole society of people. I'm so disgusted that you couldn't pay me to go to see a movie, all right, at all. There are exceptions to that rule, and I'm gonna go into it in a second. But the extreme amount of retardation, just the overwhelming amount, the unspeakable amount of retardation coming about a Leonardo DiCaprio, who's a world class actor, and I'll give him that. I've seen plenty of his movies, and he's wonderful in his movies. All right, I can't take that away from him. All right, but he is so and here's the thing: you could. I saw AJ Hunter's mom says, "Amen. Thank you to that. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody who's leaving comments. I'm gonna try and keep an eye out for him." Um, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's the thing. The only debate is if he's so completely retarded that someone has to help him leave out the front door in the morning. Someone has to tie his shoes for him. All right. Either it's that, and he has no concept of the fact is we actually breathe out CO2 and plants eat it up. All right, that's what they want. In fact, when you add more CO2, they just breathe it in more. They love it. All right. He doesn't even understand that that's what happens. All right. He thinks that when we breathe out, human beings are bad and we need to be eliminated and we need to pay all sort of carbon tax money every time we breathe. All right. Literally. All right. He might not say it in those words, but that's exactly what he stands for. All right. This is how either he's dumb while he's meeting with the Pope and everything and all these world leaders. Either that or he's extremely corrupt beyond words. All right. In ways that we can't even explain. It's either one or the other. There is no three ways about it. It's very unfortunate. So now Leonardo DiCaprio, in his extreme confusion, has just labeled this lady who honestly we gotta discuss her face, and maybe we'll do it at a later point. I don't know if y'all game right now. I don't know if anybody. Major Mark says Greta and Leo look very similar. They do. They do look very similar. As far as her being his love child, I doubt it. I doubt it. But there might be a spiritual aspect to that. And that they do look, I'll give him that. Because they both have kind of small faces. It's like maybe their face doesn't fit their head necessarily. And mind you, okay, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna make a fool out of myself and say that I'm better looking than Leonardo DiCaprio. All right, obviously that's not the case. All right, he is a world class actor, and I'm not gonna take that away from him. Other than that, he's retarded. He's more retarded than I can even believe. All right, and he just won't shut up about it. That's his problem. I would never, especially Leonardo DiCaprio movie, but I would never pay money to see any of these movies anymore. I'm completely disgusted. Um, it might have the same gene line. AJ Hunter's mama says same gene line. Maybe there's something in the blood. There's something in the spiritual nature of these two. There's a reason why they kind of look similar. I would totally agree, and we're gonna discuss it probably at great lengths. We'll probably dedicate a whole broadcast to it. What is wrong with Greta Thunberg's face? Now, and I'm not going to say Thunberg because I'm from America, all right? You need to leave America and never come back, all right? I love you. Don't never come back, though. And I'm not going to say Thunberg. Your name's Thunberg, all right? You're in America at the time being, and I hope that you already left. Both love children. We got to go back to that. Major Mark said both love children of Epstein from his ranch. It's got to make you wonder. Here's the thing. I don't know if Jeffrey Epstein, who did not kill himself, obviously, and people were saying that even before he killed himself, right? People were saying that he's about to get murdered, and then he did. And now people are talking about that just real briefly about Jeffrey Epstein, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, as it turns out, Jeffrey Epstein, it looks like he got killed." It's like, yeah, you think so? You really think so? All right, it's his breeding program, but the thing is, I don't know if it was his sperms necessarily. I guess it probably was his sperms, about of his egg-shaped genitalia. And I don't want to get into it too much, but he was like involved in these cloning programs and stuff like that. And this is science fiction stuff that most people wouldn't want to hear, but yeah, he was. All right, I'd been hearing about that for a while. So does he have some genes up in Leonardo DiCaprio and Greta Thunberg? That honestly, I'm not gonna say no to it, but I'm not a proponent of, like, I couldn't, because it is kind of going out on a limb. I don't know that he had. I don't know that either one of these two people have Jeffrey Epstein's DNA up in them. All right, I'd be willing to say that that's going out on the limb. All right, I'm gonna have to be a little bit reasonable. Now, however, if evidence was to come up, I wouldn't be the one saying, "Oh, that's impossible." No, it's not impossible. It's just kind of unlikely. All right. Matron Mike thinks that Leonardo DiCaprio and Greta Thunberg are brothers, and I'm not going to deny that either. But just to get off of this screenshot, here's what I wanted to say about Leonardo DiCaprio. He's talking about Greta Thunberg as a leader of our time. This is a little girl who I didn't know who she was 6 months ago. In fact, nobody knew who she was. All right. Why? Because she's never accomplished anything at all, ever. According to her, she's trying to school us, and when I say us, everybody in the world, on what she learned back when she was in elementary. Now, she was lied to, and everybody out here knows it when she was in elementary. In fact, you're sending your kids to public school, elementary school, they're being lied to on the daily, about 100 times a day at least, right? So she was lied to in elementary school. Um, Wow, we're gonna go. Maitre Mark says maybe they look a lot like a young Soros. I gotta kind of like look into that because I know George Soros has a son, and I forget his name. I think it's Alexander. I know that that's true, but George Soros is so old and so old looking that I can't imagine him ever looking young. All right, so I just can't even imagine it. I would have to go back in time and look at all these Holocaust photos or whatever. By the way, George Soros, and everybody knows it, sold out all sort of Jewish people and ratted them out back in the Holocaust. All right, and you know what I'm saying. And that's he's basically a Nazi sympathizer, and he always has been. Maybe they look like a young George Soros. So you probably have to find young pictures of an Alexander Soros to get to the bottom of it. I don't exactly know what George Soros looked like when he was young. AJ Hunter's mom said 2 or 3 sons and a few grandchildren. Yeah, I'm sure that they have grandchildren and stuff like that. They have all the money in the world. Obviously they have time on their hands. And I would expect them to have children. It's extremely suspicious when people on that level with that kind of money and power don't have children, right? And that is the case a lot of the times. It's extremely suspicious, all right? And no, I don't think you should hold any sort of political power if you don't have children, to be honest with you, because obviously you don't have any stakes in the game. But like I was trying to get at earlier, what I was alluding to is Leonardo DiCaprio is calling this nameless, faceless person a person who honestly could just be quiet and nobody would. It's like, who would ever miss Greta Thunberg? And it's calling her a leader of our time for pretty much relaying propaganda that she heard back in grade school, right? And that's her claim to fame, right? Meanwhile, she hates human beings, and she makes it quite obvious, right? So that's what Leonardo DiCaprio is doing with his time. All I gotta say before I get off of this particular topic is, gosh, Leonardo DiCaprio has a hell of a background. To be honest with you, all right. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I have reason to believe. I have my suspicions that he was, to put it lightly, molested into the Illuminati back when he was a little kid, right? And I'm not saying that, oh, like from nowhere. I'm not grabbing that from nowhere, right? I have reason to believe that Leonardo DiCaprio was, to put it lightly, molested into the Illuminati back when he was a little kid child actor. And I'm not a fan of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not laughing like, he was molested. No, actually, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing that happened to Leonardo DiCaprio, right? That shouldn't happen to any child, but it's gonna happen to every single child who comes up in Hollywood. You better bet your last dollar on it. All right, it's gonna happen if you're trying to get your child into into the world of show business. Understand that they're gonna get molested, and if they get any sort of power and stuff like that, well, they were molested into their position of power. And it's really kind of weird, Leonardo's relationship to the Pope and stuff. We got 6 people up in the building. I want to take the time out to thank everybody who's up in the building. We got 6 people. That's damn near setting a record. Last time we got 8 people up in the building. We still got a little bit of time. Um, Shoot, maximum we probably have about 25 minutes, to spend with each other. I gotta say, I love this, y'all. Like, I appreciate y'all out there, and I love y'all's contributions. And we're getting together, and y'all teach me things. As much as like y'all might enjoy, hearing my input and stuff, I really enjoy y'all's input. Matrix Mark says they molest a lot of children. They molest every single child. To be honest with you, there might be some exceptions to the rule, but it is a rule. Some like it and some join so that they can molest others. See, that's my suspicion, all right? And speaking of that, I hope that nobody left Leonardo. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, all right? But I hope that they did not leave Leonardo DiCaprio alone with Greta Thunberg at any point in time, right? For that specific reason. Matron Mark says many child abusing priests were abused as choir boys, and I'm sure that's the thing about it. This child molestation and stuff like that, this sexual orientation, that's contagious. All right, for the most part, we got to understand that it is a disease, right? And for the most part, it's contagious. It's something where we need to quarantine people, dude. It's a disease. All right, we need to nip that in the bud and just, what I'm saying. So now it's running rampant. All right, it's basically an epidemic. All right, it's that epidemic. It's that pandemic levels. All right, and so we might want to think about that. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about that. AJ Hunter's mom said, "I begged for my kids to stay off the TV. Period. News, YouTube, all of it." That's true. I gotta say, I totally agree with that. As far as TV, there's no point to it. I know, me personally, that most children I know are glued to the television all day long, all day long. All right, that's a babysitter for them, and I'm not going to come out and tell people how to be parents because obviously, my child's not around. All right, and so they would look at me stupid, and I can understand why. But um, most children I know are glued to the television. The main reason for that, and I know I got ladies up in the building. I appreciate y'all, and trust me, I know y'all have actually thought about things. All right, to some sort of extent. The reason why most of these young children are glued to the television has everything to do with their mothers. For better, for worse, take it however you like it. Just because it has everything to do with their mothers. It's unfortunate. All right. And as far as YouTube goes, and as far as the internet goes, I'm here to tell y'all, it sounds very, it sounds like it would be tedious. It sounds like it would be some people regard it maybe as stressful as like they couldn't do it. It's overwhelming. But I'm here to tell you as a rule of thumb, a child should not be on the internet at all. All right. They should not ever, their eyes should never grace a screen that has the internet on it unless they're being supervised by their parents for 100% of the time. All right. Not for a second should they be looking at the internet. I'm talking about any child up to like to their early teens and stuff to probably their mid teens, more than likely. They should never ever be on the internet without their parents knowing about it and totally supervising every second of it. That's why you have two parents. I know one should be off making money, and the one who's not off making money should be supervising every last second. It ain't a game. I totally agree with AJ Hunter's mama. All right. Totally in agreement because all it's going to do is try and twist and warp their minds. All right. Your parents should be the ones who influence you the most. But meanwhile, nah, it isn't. It's screens up in this mug. And it'll probably continue to be that. I mean, we're on a certain trend, we're on a certain path, and the world is what it is. If you think people are letting screens babysit their children now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Not anything. But some of us are going to have sense enough to know that that's a terrible disaster. And that is what it is. I wanted to bring up this. There's been mass shootings. Here's the thing: mass shootings in America, although it's very rare to get killed at a mass shooting, it's extremely rare. Yet and still, there are plenty of them, especially in America. All right, mind you, there's more guns than there are people in America. Number one, I want to bring that up. I don't know if I had a screenshot of something I saw earlier. It brings something to mind, and we're going to talk about it in a second. All right, but here's another example. Airbnb bans party houses after California mass shooting. You may or may not have heard of it. Here's the problem, and I'm sure everybody's aware. But if you're not aware, I wanted to bring it up. Okay, 90, and it's statistically proven. 90, here's the thing: a mass shooting is a shooting that, and a lot of you already know, involves four people or more. That's what constitutes a mass shooting. All right. So, despite popular belief that it's all white young men running around mass shooting up everybody, that's actually extremely rare as far as mass shootings go. I'm not hating on anybody. I love everybody in the world. I don't know. I'm gonna say it over and over. All right, until it's obvious that I do. But over 90% of people who mass shoot up people are black folks. All right, I love all black folks, every last one of them. All right, not hating on anybody, but statistically speaking, just like I said, if you go into the records, it's mostly black folks. All right, a lot of it's gang related. I'm sure some of it isn't, but that is the way that it goes. All right, and it is unfortunate. But what's even more unfortunate is that every time it's black folks killing other black folks, it gets swept under the rug. Let's not even talk about this. We're gonna mention it, and then we're not even gonna talk about it. Meanwhile, I had to hear from the dang Parkland survivors every single day. If I wasn't keeping up with it the way that I do, I would still hear about something or other from these Parkland survivors, which allegedly was a young white male who shot up all sort of white people. All right. I don't believe in racism. I don't think it exists. Y'all could debate me, and we could dedicate a whole broadcast to it one day. All right. I believe hatred exists, and there's no reason to name it something else. All right. But however, if racism did exist, you would point at the media immediately and say, hey, how come you're not talking about black folks killing other black folks? Right? It's not like, and this has been said by so many other people. I'm not the first person to say it, obviously. I'm not the millionth person to say it, but how come it is that when black folks get killed, like in this Airbnb party or at that Texas A&M Halloween party just the other day, how come when black folks get killed, nobody cares about it? Isn't that completely racist? Oh yeah, no, nobody cares about it. Why? Because they were shot up by another black person. No, there's no reason to talk about it or even think about it unless it's a white person doing it. Isn't that extremely racist? Isn't that the definition of racism? It's gosh dang ridiculous, all right? I care about black people. When black people or any other person gets shot down in the streets, yeah, it's not something that I like. I would prefer that it didn't happen. Right? I prefer that they stop showing a preference to what they want to cover all the time. And we know exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, and they keep doing it. They're not going to stop doing it. All right? They want to cause division. They want to drum up some sort of myth of white supremacy. We might even have like a screenshot dealing with that. I forget what screenshots we have left. I know that we only probably have a few more to get through. All right, there's constant articles about white supremacy taking over America. Look, I know there's also retarded people out there doing retarded things, right? And I wish that they wouldn't. Okay, that being said, for those abroad, for those who might not be so familiar with America, I can tell you that white supremacy is not a thing. And if it is a thing, it's a thing ran by retards. And nobody cares. All right? To include and especially Donald Trump. All right? No, nobody's endorsing that. Like, literally, when you think about percentages of it, nobody is endorsing that. Nobody believes in it. Right? But you have article after article after article from certain publications. They know who they are. We know who they are. Talking about, oh, white supremacy is taking over. They're killing everybody. They can't wait to kill everybody. You're lying. Right? And something should be done about you. You gotta get people hurt, and you're doing that. And you're putting people in prison. That's the thing. They're putting all sort of people in prison who may not have anything to do with this white supremacy that they keep drumming up. They love it. And you gotta ask yourself: is the people who love it and can't stop talking about it, even though it doesn't exist, they literally consider white people as superior? How come it's like it's a news item when a white person kills, say, black people or whoever else? That's a news item. That's something you want to talk about. But whenever it's somebody else, and it's the majority of instances, and they're killing off people who look just like them, who come from the same neighborhoods, oh, it's not even nothing to even bring up or talk about. They're displaying white supremacy in all their articles. And they're too blinded by hatred to even figure that out. And they'll never figure it out. They're too blinded by hatred. All right. It comes from Satan. That's unfortunate. I wanted to bring this up. So we have about 15 minutes left to go. That's all the time that we have time for. So we're gonna see if we can't wind it down. And I'd like to take another opportunity to thank everybody out there who's contributed. And of course, we got something that's very pending, a pressing matter, and you want us to discuss it. Trust me, we can do it. Trust me, we're gonna do it. All right, with the little time that we have. But I wanted to bring this up. It's an article that I've seen. It says over 1,000 commit to Christ at Kanye West's Sunday service in Baton Rouge. All right, I wanted to bring that up specifically. This particular article. Here's what I want to say. First off, at this Kanye West Sunday service, all right, they're trying to imply that 1,000 people committed their life to Christ. That did not happen. All right, unfortunately, all right, they're making that up. All right, because here's what I gotta say. You can go to Kanye West a concert or whatever, or some of these church gatherings in general. Chances are that's it's not real. They're faking it, and it's unfortunate. All right, but you're not gonna. Nobody's gonna give like a sermon necessarily. I know there's gonna be exceptions to the rule, but it's not. It is a rule. You're not going to be getting a sermon or seeing a concert, and that concert's going to convince you to give your life, so to speak, to Jesus Christ. It's not going to happen, right? It actually takes very monumental events in your life. I got to speak it from out of experience and for what I've seen from other people. It actually takes life experiences to convince you that you're not in control of anything. And I can promise you, you're not. Neither am I. All right. Sometimes you gotta hit rock bottom. In fact, most times you gotta hit rock bottom in your life to figure out, oh shoot, I'm not in control of anything. And actually, there's a God who's looking out for me and giving me all sort of blessings, even though I don't deserve them. All right, and then you realize Jesus is His Son. All right, and it's the ultimate gift to the earth. All right, and you start to realize that and piece that together. Kanye West's Sunday service is not going to do that for you. All right. And for the people writing articles about it and stuff like that, they don't understand the first thing about being reborn at all. That being said, I wanted to get out of the way. I saw on YouTube that Sunday service in Baton Rouge. It was excellent. All right. The week before that, they actually had, and I would recommend this. They actually had a performance, a Sunday service, and they held it in LA. All right. And it blew my mind. It was incredible. It was very worth it. I would suggest it if you have some time. It was unbelievable. I mean, it rocked my world. All right, but it didn't make me commit to give my life over to Jesus. I did that a long time ago. All right, that's just it is. What it is. I was already there, but I was seeing the performance, and it was unbelievable. And here's what I got to say about it. I'm pretty sure that album, Jesus is King, is the greatest. All right, if not one of the greatest. And I know a lot of people have their favorites out there. I'm sure it's gonna go down in the history books as one of the greatest, top 10 gospel albums of all time. It was amazing. It's amazing. That album is unbelievable. All right. I'm not just saying that, because Kanye agrees with me and stuff like that. We agree on a lot of things. That album is unbelievable. It is amazing in every sense. That performance that they did in LA, not only the performance with all these people and stuff like that, but just the visuals and the imagery and the way it was directed was unfreaking believable. All right, and I want to draw attention to that. If you haven't seen that, and it's just, a lot of people are debating, is Kanye genuine? Is he not genuine? Is he trying to get money and stuff like that? I see that he's selling shirts for $100 and stuff like that. I don't know if he's real. Here's the thing: if you were to see the performance, if you get time and stuff, you have time enough to watch it, the motivation really does not matter at all. If you see the performance, you'll understand that anybody can speak about God, can speak especially about His Son Jesus, which is our older brother. We can debate it and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure He's our older brother. He's there to set the example. We're also children of God. All right, so therefore God is our Father as well. All right. So I don't want to get too far into it, but what I'm saying is, I forgot what I was saying, but okay, here's the thing. Jesus is good, and the message of Jesus can be spread by anybody in the world. If Hillary Clinton came out today right now and said, hey, look, everything that I was talking about is totally ridiculous, and I realize that actually Jesus, Son of God, and the Bible is actually talking about the one and only actual God, and that's the truth of it. If Hillary Clinton came out today and said that on video, I wouldn't be over here debating whether or not Hillary Clinton was being genuine. Really doesn't matter to me. The message is what's important. Anybody can speak the truth. All right. And that performance done by Kanye West was the absolute, unbridled, undebatable truth. And it was amazing musically. And I could go on and on about it. It was amazing. But I think this is a picture from Lafayette, Louisiana, in which a lot of people are lifting up their hands. Trust me, like I said, people did not become converted. Nobody became reborn during this. All right. I want to be clear, but at the same time, it's a beautiful scene. All right, I can't think of anything more beautiful than people reaching up and understanding. Most of these people probably already understood there is only one way to salvation. All right. I don't mean to be mean or be a bully and stuff. Trust me, it took a long time to figure it out. There is only one way. All right. That's not to say you can't be a good. Good is kind of a weird word. That's not to say you can't be a decent person and have decent morals and stuff like that. There's people out there, atheists, Jewish people, Muslim people, whatever religion you could think of out there that are doing good things. All right. However, there is only one way. I'm sorry about it. But I bring it up for those who might be looking for confirmation, right? And I don't know, for whatever reason, listen to me. Trust me, there's only one way, all right? There is no other way. I'm sorry about it. Um, Here's a screenshot that we kind of started on, and it's really not important at all. But I wanted to touch upon it a little bit for people out there. Some lady who I'd never heard of before, and we'll never hear about ever again. Her name is Amber Luke, and she reveals that she went blind after getting blue tattoos on her eyeballs. All right, and she certainly did. If you can see right there, it's a lot of people who got tattoos on their eyeballs at this point. And I read the article, and she explained that the person who's doing the tattoos went a little bit too deep on her eyeballs. Now you shouldn't go blind necessarily. Oh, Amber Alert! I hate those, by the way. Meanwhile, they were interrupting our broadcast as far as their Amber Alerts, and I didn't mean to say the word hate, but I very much despising the Amber Alerts. All right, and I want to explain that because they brought themselves up. Here's the thing. Here's what I want to ask y'all a question, and I asked a friend the other day. All right, how many people? I mean, you would assume young children have been saved. Have How many people's young children's lives have been saved and credit should be given to the Amber Alert system. I'm saying, how many times in history has the Amber Alert system actually saved a child's life? I'm willing to bet you zero. I'm willing to bet you zero. Like the event would happen where you're driving down the road or you're here doing a broadcast on your phone and you see, okay, Amber Alert, this person uh, is missing. This child's missing, and it's something about a gray van or like a gold suburban or whatever. And keep an eye out. All right. And then somebody sees that message and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna keep an eye out. All right, I'll get to the bottom of this." And so they're driving around and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, there's a gold suburban. Hey, there's a little child in there. I think that's what it is." And they call the authorities. They're like, "Look, I saw an Amber Alert, and it was talking about a young child, and I just saw a gold suburban. I think that child's in there." And then the police get the information. And they're like, "Yes, Roger, we're gonna get on it." And then they go and they find the gold suburban, the red Camry, or whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh, we got a phone tip about this young child and stuff because of the Amber Alert, and so we're gonna track down this car." And because of the Amber Alert, somebody calling us in, that's why we knew exactly where this person was. I don't think it's ever happened, not one time. Right? To be honest with you, it's like that. I mean, that's a major concern for most of these children. I bet you. That's the thing about it. Most of these children have been taken, like, say, by their parent, like the two parents are feuding, and one takes a child and runs off with it and says, "Oh, you're gonna take my child away from me," and they grab their child and they run away. All right, that's mostly what's happening as far as these Amber Alerts. These Amber Alerts have never successfully ever brought a child back to safety. That's unfortunate, and that's why I despise them. All right, but meanwhile, I just want to talk about this Amber Luke just because I think it's something significant. I've heard a lot of MGTOW people actually talk about it. Just so that you know, we got about 5 minutes. 10 would be pressing it. All right, so we're winding it down. All right, this lady who I'd never heard of, Amber Luke, and I'll never hear about her ever again. She reveals that she went blind after getting her blue tattoos on her eyeballs. Okay, here's what I want to mention. For men out there who have any sense, and they're starting to share this information just to confirm it with each other, um, they already know that a tattoo on a lady is a red flag. Now, I know that there's ladies out there with tattoos. Trust me, maybe some are watching me right now. All right. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to hurt your feelings. That's not why I'm saying this. But I want you to know, just like all these men are starting to figure out, a lady with a tattoo at all, in general, that's a red flag. And for those, I gotta stress, there's men out there who have some sort of sense. They've been talking with other men out there. They're starting to get their wherewithal. Maybe they have money. Maybe they're successful at their job. Maybe they have a lifestyle that it's very successful and stuff like that. You'd imagine ladies would want to get with them. They want to get with them all the time. I can't blame them. All right, ladies should want security. They should want a man with a really good job to provide for them. You can't blame ladies at all. What I'm here to tell y'all is those men are starting to figure out, if ladies have tattoos, if it's a lady with a tattoo, all right, she ain't a keeper at all. In fact, what it does is it gives you the idea that she's probably very, what do you call it, where impulsive. All right, she has an impulsive nature about her. This is the reason why she got tattoos. Men is kind of a different level. Men have been getting tattoos since forever. All right, it doesn't really apply to men. You might say, "Oh, that's sexist. Oh, you're being unfair." That's unfortunate. It's the way of the world. I'm here to tell you that these guys, they're figuring it out. The ones with any sense, the ones who want to start a family and have a decent family, and maybe they make lots of money and they want to find a good woman to be the mother of their children, they see a woman with one tattoo and they automatically know that ain't a keeper. That's something that you reel in and then throw it back. I'm sorry to tell you, right? So with that being said, if you have, say, tattoos all over your dang body, all right, to include your eyeballs, all right, what you're doing is you're ensuring that whatever man you get a hold of, all right, he ain't gonna be no good. He's gonna want to reel you in and throw you back in the water. That's just what it is, all right. He ain't gonna stand by you, and even if he did, there's something wrong with him, all right, because he should already know you're impulsive beyond belief, and you'll go out guaranteed, and you're gonna sleep all around town, guaranteed. It's a guarantee. There's no two ways about it. You're gonna sleep all around town. You're very impulsive. All right. You're impulsive. There's something wrong going in your brain to makes you think that, oh, I need to modify myself all over my body to include my eyeballs. All right. So what I can guarantee, and you know, this is before she tattooed her eyeballs, is that what Amber Luke, a person who I never heard of before, what she guaranteed is that she ain't never gonna find a man that's gonna treat her good, and she's not never gonna have satisfaction in her life, and it's unfortunate. But she did it a long time ago with all these tattoos and stuff like that, and it's very unfortunate. But it's a spiritual thing. It's attention seeking, and there's nothing wrong with attention seeking. However, it's very shallow. It's like you've accomplished nothing. You're good for nothing. You're gonna sleep all around town and stuff like that, but you still want attention. So all you do is you tattoo your body up and down, and that's the only way you can get it, right? And you're pretty much guaranteeing that you're gonna have a terrible life, unfortunately. And it's gonna look disgusting when you're an old person, unfortunately. All right. So I believe that's the last of the screenshots, or you know, there might be one more. Okay, we're gonna leave out on this. Something that everybody knows, but I want to drive it home. This is a poll. 1 year from election, Trump trails Biden, but leads Warren in battlegrounds, and it's done by New York Times. Obviously, people out here know that the New York Times, that's fake news. All right. But I wanted to drive it home. In the final moments, like I said, thank all y'all for coming out. And we're going to do this again on Wednesday and on Friday. It's going to be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. And I'm going to try to give y'all more prior warnings. So that way you know you can get stuff done. And if you want to contribute to this particular stream, you're going to be able to get in. You're going to have, it's not going to be so spontaneous. All right. And thank y'all out there. I appreciate all y'all for y'all's contributions. But we want to end on this note. 1 year from election, blah blah blah. It's a poll, right? And it's saying that Donald Trump, he's trailing Biden. Okay, an absolute bald-faced lie. That's all it is. That's all it'll ever be. And what it's pretty much showing all of us right now is there's no reason to believe a poll at all. right? For one, who's ever even answered a poll in their life? I've never answered a poll ever, right? And probably never will. Why? Because I have things to do, dude. I don't have time to answer your poll. Like, be on the phone, like, hey, oh yeah, I'll answer. Oh, you got questions? Oh yeah, I want to answer them on the phone. Hell no. All right, nobody's. These polls are absolutely fake, and it's pretty much wanted to point it out. They're meaning to convince us of the opposite of reality. All right. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't like Donald Trump in America. I'm sure of it. It's becoming a very divisive matter. All right. At least half of Americans really do like Donald Trump and are liking him more and more every day. That much I can guarantee you. All right. He's not running against anybody. There's nobody who can compete with Donald Trump running against right now. Nobody, to include and especially Joe Biden. All right. And so these people are so desperate to convince us that it's even a competition. No, it's not. It's not even close. All right. Because it doesn't matter how many people hate Donald Trump and they can't even articulate to you why they hate Donald Trump. I guarantee you it's about 100 to 1,000 times less people who actually think Joe Biden is worth listening to for more than 2 minutes. Nobody likes Joe Biden. Uh, for all the people who like Bernie Sanders out there, he's having heart attacks and stuff like that. He's not. There's so many reasons why there's nobody who can compete with Donald Trump. All right. So between now and next November, we're we're just gonna see more and more every day. There's nobody. There's nobody who can hold a candle to Donald Trump. And all these articles and publications are going to try and convince us otherwise because basically they're insulting you to your face. They're calling you so stupid to even think that's even a possibility. It's not even close. All right. And it's very insulting. All right. And these people get paid to do it. All right. That's their whole lives is built in deceit. And the last thing that I want to dwell upon before we get out of here, we're going to get out of here right now. I want to say thank you to Brenda. I see your comment. Says that I'm doing great. I appreciate you. It's going to be better next time. All right. We were going all willy nilly, and there's a lot of things that I would like to do better about my live stream broadcasts. All right. Just to let y'all know, it's kind of practice. Right. But the last thing that I wanted to dwell upon, because a lot of times we're looking at people out there and we say they're very deceptive, that they base their whole lives in lying to people. They're compulsive liars, and lots of times they get paid for it. What I want to drive home right now, and something I've been dwelling upon for all of today, is those people who seek to deceive you. It's a spiritual thing. They can't control what they do. They can't control how blind they are. Those people who are seeking to deceive you at every chance that they get, we have to remember that they were deceived. Those people out there, there's not one person out there who's trying to deceive you who aren't themselves deceived into blindness, into absolute destruction of their own life. It's unfortunate. But they were deceived a long, long time ago by the author of deception, by the inventors of lies. And we know who that is. It's very unfortunate. They think that they can trick us. They want us to be, it's contagious. They want us to have the same disease that they have, in which not only are they deceiving people, but they're also themselves very deceived, right? And they're living extremely unsuccessful lives. And for the most part, hate babies, hate everything that's good in life. There's no reason to hate these people. I mean, we could feel sorry for these people, and they should be felt sorry for. There's no reason to hate these liars out here. But however, justice needs to be held. That's for every last one of us, to include and especially myself. Justice needs to be administered, right? Legally and lawfully on not just people who are deceiving people, because it's hard to make a law about liars, but there's all sort of justice that needs to be held on these people, because a lot of these liars are out here doing terrible, unthinkable things to children, the most helpless of us all, the most innocent of us all. right? And they think they're going to do it right in front of our faces. I got bad news for those people. We see them for who they are. We don't hate them, but God works through people, right? And justice will be had. Justice belongs to God and nobody else. Right. It's November, I don't know, the 4th or the 5th, or it's one of those days. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all on Wednesday. And thank y'all, and I appreciate y'all. I'm going to have to get up out of here, and I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.